Good morning, students. Am I audible? Good morning. Okay, inform all to join. Okay, till now only 14 students are present. Okay, so we can start, right? So, so this is your class of rural water supply and on-site sanitation system. Clear? So, up to last class, we have roughly we have completed the first module. Fine. So from today, we're going to start the second module. Clear? So in this module, we're going to discuss about some quality. That means issues related to quality of water, especially considering the rural areas. Okay. So in this specifically in this particular class, we're going to discuss about specific problem that may be there in rural areas related to the water supply and on-site sanitation or generally sanitation system. Okay, that means uh, as an engineer or as a higher authority, if somebody want to develop a water supply scheme in a particular area, which is a very rural area, that means in what are the factors that need to consider? Okay, there are many factors may be considered. You have to consider before going for planning or before creating a model of water supply scheme or treatment processes. Okay. So in the first module, I think we have learned about different sources of natural water. I hope you remember. So, in a broad way, in general, you can say in Earth we can find water, or you can find a natural water by two way. Either one is your surface source, another one is your ground water source. I think this is already mentioned to you. It is, I guess, it is clear, right? Even in the sessional exam, also one question also came, right? If you remember. So if you consider the surface, what is the difference between surface water source and groundwater source? In case of surface water source, the water, the available water is directly exposed to the atmosphere. And what are the example of surface water source? Anyone? You can write in chat box or just you can speak up. Surface water source क्या क्या है? Lake, rivers, good. Yeah. So lake, river, they are surface water source. And what about groundwater source? Well, and any other? Spring, good. Aquifer, aquiclude, all these are groundwater source. Fine. So from quality point of view, from quality point of view, so which source is more pure? Groundwater source or surface water source? From quality point of view, groundwater source, good. Groundwater source is more pure comparatively comparatively. That means why it is like that? Because the surface water source is directly exposed to the water. There's a more possibility of contamination. And what do you mean by contamination? Means the surface water may come in contact with polluted matters. Okay, there is a more possibility. But in case of groundwater, it is not the case. Okay, that means the basically the primary source of drinking water are what? Groundwater source and surface water. This is clear. Okay. In addition to that, also another source is there. That is your rainwater, rain or snow. Okay, depending on the climate or depending on upon the uh, geography. Okay, so in some country or some areas, snow is also used as a for drinking purposes also. But before using rainwater or snow water, we have to go for some treatment because rainwater. I already told you in the last class also, the rainwater is not good for drinking because it doesn't contain any minerals. It's a saline water. Fine. That means you have to add some minerals, which is good for your health or good for human health. Then you can use rainwater. Okay, but it's not good to use directly. Clear? I'm not. I'm only talking about drinking purposes, but other purposes you can use. Not a big deal. That means that's why government also uh, appreciate or appreciate the use of rainwater harvesting. Okay, I think you heard this term, no? Rainwater harvesting. If you need any details about that, we can also make a special class on rainwater harvesting. Okay. So rainwater harvesting is what? It's kind of collecting the rainwater. Okay. There is a process of collecting the rainwater in individual household. Fine. And we can use that water in different work related to your household, like washing your car, or gardening, all these things. Okay. Or in even in your toilet purposes also you can use. Clear? So anyway, so rainwater, that means rainwater or snow, can be collected and contained or can be treated and can be used. Fine. So I already told you the initial quality of water depends on the source. Fine. So that means before going for a treatment of a particular water, we have to know what is the source. Okay. That means the initial also the quality of water it depends on the source. Source like surface water sources like lakes, reservoirs, streams, rivers, like that. Fine. And in another word, you can say if you consider in a particular globe in a earth, almost 50% of populations are lived in rural areas. Approximately, okay, I'm telling approximately. So approximately half of the population live in the rural areas. Okay, and the half of the population that we can say that means the half of the population of the earth of earth are not getting a pure drinking water. Okay, that means we can say the drinking water quality, it is not good, because most of the rural areas, most in the rural areas, they used surface water for drinking purposes. Okay, got my point? In rural areas, the source of water generally are like lake, rivers, like that. Okay, that means they are surface water mainly. So since surface water is not that pure or good quality, so we can say the half of the population is getting the poor quality of water. Okay, and you also know to collect the groundwater, that means groundwater from from the depth of the earth, it is not a easy task. You have to go for boring also. Even in your household also boring is there, so you know what is the cost. But in rural areas it is not the way, or it is not the way to get the water. In rural areas, people generally go for surface water, which is as easily available in the surface of the earth. Fine. So from this point of view, we can say that rural areas are connected with a poor water quality sources, which is surface water. Clear? Okay, so let me share my screen also if you want to see. Right. Okay, can you see my screen? Is it visible? Visible है कि नहीं?
Visible.
Am I audible? Please to respond.
Sir,
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
okay. So yeah, so these things we have already discussed just now. So I'll just repeat here what is written here. So almost half of the humanity, so that means half of the population, mostly in Asia and Africa, still live in rural areas. Still live in rural areas and are of low income groups. Okay? The poor rural population lack access to basic water supply and self sanitation. That means they are not in contact with a safe or sufficient water supply and safe sanitation. That means they are not getting a pure water, and even they are living in an unhygienic condition. That means there is no proper way of waste disposal. Okay, which results not only in tremendous human health and economic cost, but also create gender and other social inequalities. Right. So this is the impact in the environment, in terms of human health, in terms of economy, in terms of gender inequality, even social inequalities. Fine. And in addition, the majority of the rural population in developing world are illiterate, unskilled. Okay, and it is composed of mainly elderly people like women, children, who do not have resources to support or cooperate with natural availability and its impact. That means the main problem in rural areas, we can say, they are not aware about the issue of pure drinking water or a hygienic condition or treatment of waste disposal. They are not aware of that. Okay, because they are illiterate or unskilled. Okay, so there is another issue that we have to increase the literacy rate of our country, individual country. so that each and every household have at least one person who can think in a right way. Okay, this is a, even in India also this is a very big issue. Okay, so this kind of a challenges, it is one of the very big challenge for the governing people, okay, or government, you can say. That is, your people living in the rural areas are illiterate and unskilled. Okay. Okay, so we'll discuss about other different challenges while we go for water supply scheme or sanitation scheme. Okay. So water supply and sanitation in rural areas is more challenging. Why? Due to the settlement location, mostly in environmentally frugal area. That means they are mostly the rural areas are not environment friendly. They are living in an unhygienic location. Okay, and development models dominated by diverse cultural values, poor economic condition, and associated cost recovery challenges. So, in this statement, what is telling here? That means before going for a proposing any water supply scheme or sanitation process, you have to first understand the cultural values of the particular community. Okay, it's very related to each other. Okay, so you have to be very uh, careful about proposing any scheme in a particular community. That means before going any proposal, you have to first understand their mother tongue or their living standard or living style. So you also know different community have different individual culture, a different living style, all these things. Okay, so whatever scheme you are proposing or whatever scheme the government is proposing, it must fit with their community or must fit with their culture, and they should not harm their culture values. Okay, so along with their cultural values, poor economic condition is one of the important factor in case of rural areas and associated with recovery challenges. That means, suppose you are investing some uh, money in a particular scheme, but with a particular scheme, you need some money or revenue, you can say. Suppose in urban areas, if government is giving you a water supply in a particular household, you have a meter, uh, you know, water meter associated with that particular water tap. Okay, you have to give some bill against how many water you are taking. Okay, so like that. But in case of rural areas, it is not that a case because they are economically poor. Okay, that's why the cost recovery in case of rural areas it little bit difficult. Okay, for that we have to go for some homemade solution for water supply or on-site sanitation or something like that. Okay, in many cases, scattered settlement dominated by agro-based economy. That means in many rural areas, mostly people live. Uh, uh, the main economic is based on agriculture. Okay, agro-based economy means based on agriculture, and for them, the water requirement is comparatively high. Okay, it is not only for drinking purposes, even for agriculture purposes also you need water. That means the limited water resources. If you have a limited water, it create more challenges for infrastructure provision. That means even for a people or population or community based on agro-based economy, Even for that community also, the requirement of water is high, and the limited water source resources is provide or create more challenges. Okay. Next, most of the existing water infrastructure is decentralized system. That means in a particular village, you can say there is a one community water point or public stand post or pit latrines or septic tank, like that. So about this pit latrine or septic tank, we'll discuss when we're going to discuss about sanitation. Okay, in coming module. Fine. So I think you have also explained this kind of scenario. That means in a particular village there is a suppose one water point. Okay, where all the people come for collecting water, like that. So suppose in somehow that particular water point get uh, damaged. That means in that particular situation, the whole locality will going to suffer. Okay, that means such infrastructure system have also fallen into disrepair due to technical, financial, and managerial limitation. That means that particular decentralized system like community water collection point, okay, pit latrine, septic tank, these are maybe damaged or maybe out of working condition because of technical error, financial error, or any maintenance limitation. Okay, so these things are basically a very common issue in rural areas. Yeah, and this line is already discussed with you that rural areas or rural population mostly depend on local water sources like wells, hand pump, rivers, which are in many cases contaminated. Okay, that means the contaminated means they are um, mixed with or come in contact with polluted matters. They are not uh, fit for drinking. That means we have to go for some treatment of the particular water. Okay. I think up to this it is not that tough to understand. This is all this whatever I have discussed. This already I guess you have experiences. Okay. Now we'll discuss about technology. Okay. Now suppose you have invented or you have proposed any technology related to suppose water treatment plant, or you can say for sanitation process, whatever. Okay. But you have to understand that every technology is used by a particular individual community. Okay, that means if I give you an example, that suppose you are, uh, suppose I am proposing a new water treatment process. Okay, I have invented or I have proposed one new machine which can be used for water, which can be purify water efficiently. Fine, but it need electricity to run. I'm giving you just a simple example. Suppose my machine, it needs electricity to run and process and go for water treatment. But that particular instrument, a particular machine cannot be used efficiently in rural areas because of the electricity problem also. Or maybe the cost may be high, or the technology I'm going to use is very unique that and the cost will be high. That means rural areas people will cannot afford that. That means if you are targeting a rural areas issue, if you are targeting rural areas issue, you have to propose a particular solution which can be used easily by that rural areas. Okay, that means invention or technology, invention of technology is not a big deal, but whether the rural areas or rural people can use that particular technology efficiently or easily, there is a question mark. Okay, that means you have to take this factor also in consideration. Okay, the rural areas lack of access to appropriate low cost and locally produced technology for water, sanitation, and hygiene needs. That means whatever technology you are going to propose, it must be of low cost, okay, locally produced technology, okay. These things you have to must be considered. The advanced and urban focused technologies will not fit for rural cases. Okay, in this line, all these things is summarized here. The advanced and urban focused technologies, which is actually pro, no, targeted for urban areas, they cannot be used in rural areas. That means they will not be fit in rural cases. Okay, the technology, the technologies should also take into account other issues like energy efficient use of natural treatment system, which are robust and robust and low cost. That means along with low cost and locally produced technology, you have to consider the energy efficient. That means they should not consume more energy. Okay, and it's better to concentrate on natural treatment system, which that means the raw material of the particular treatment process should be locally available or naturally available. Okay, which are robust means they are durable or uh, good, you can say, in a positive way, or efficient, you can say, and low cost. Okay, that means you can concentrate in two terms very importantly, that is low cost. Okay, low cost and your locally available. I think somewhere here it is there, or natural treatment process or locally available. Okay, so these two terms you have to be concentrate more, or even energy efficient also. In addition, the technology should also address cultural values of rural people in developing countries. So, in the previous lecture, I already told you that you also take into account regarding the community culture. In a particular village, there are different cultural people may be living there. So, you have to take care, or you have to take care of their cultural values also. You should not um, it should not affect their cultural values of a different people living in a particular rural areas. Okay, is it clear till now? Okay, let me, yeah. So the model of public participations in development could be different to be compatible with local tradition, such as involvement of elderly, okay, elderly, ethnic or community chiefs, while developing water sanitation technologies in rural areas. That means, suppose government proposing a water treatment plant, okay, in a particular rural areas, okay, that means you have to make understand each and every people living in a rural area so that they can also um, participate in the development of the particular scheme. Okay, so the particular model of development, that means development of water treatment plant or sanitation, in that particular creating the model, you have to target the local people, and you have to appreciate, or you have to encourage them towards the development of their society. Okay, so uh, Till now, we have discussed a lot of things like what are the problems maybe exist in a particular rural areas, especially when you are going to go for water supply and treatment process. Okay, and to overcome that problem, overcome the process, we have highlighted some. I have highlighted some solution you can say. Okay, so with this, I just want to conclude my class here. Okay, so development strategies for ensuring sustainable water security and sanitation in rural areas are. That means before going for a proposing any treatment plan, it may be water quality treatment plan or supply plan or sanitation. In case of rural areas, what are the factors you need to concentrate? Okay, or what are the work that you have to do to minimize the issue? Okay, so firstly, identify appropriate awareness arising program for water security and safe sanitation that are suitable for the illiterate rural population. That means you have to provide or you have to propose an awareness scheme. First of all, you have to launch a awareness scheme within a particular community, and you have to make understand the issue related to safe sanitation and safe water supply. Okay, where the majority of population are dominated by uh, elder people, and women, children like that. Okay, and identify public participation approaches. They take into account the construct of the communities, which are strongly influenced by their ethnic, culture, and religious beliefs. That means you have to encourage each and every people living in a rural areas so that they can also have that um, you can say that they so that they can realize about that issue and they can participate in a development process of the on-site sanitation or pure drinking water supply scheme. Okay. Next, your task is to identify appropriate technology for agriculture, water sanitation service that can be accepted, developed, operated, and maintained by the local rural people who can often lack adequate capacity and resources. That means if you are proposing any technology for agriculture, suppose for water supply, water treatment, or on-site sanitation or any sanitation services, you have to uh, ensure that that particular technology must be accepted by the people. You have to ensure that the particular technology must be accepted by the community, individual community of different culture. It must be developed by their own. That means they so that they can also make that or prepare that particular experiment or prepare experiment or apparatus you can say, or they can easily operate it. They can be maintained by local real people. Okay, that means it must be easy to use technology. Okay, so this is a very challenges work. Okay, but as an engineer or if you go in the higher position, that you have these things you have to remember in this mind. And at the end, propose a new business model of infrastructure development and investment, especially for rural poor, that ensure the sustainable infrastructure development and operation. That means as a whole, if you are in that position in future, that try to go for proposing or developing a new business model for rural areas so that they even from their uh, economy point of view they can going up in position. So this is all about today class. I think this class is not that tough to understand. This is all the general. It is just a kind of a general discussion. So in this class, we have discussed about basic or specific problem related to water supply scheme and treatment plan in rural areas. So mostly we can say in rural areas, uh, people living from different community live together. Okay, and most of the people are illiterate. Okay, unaware of the issue of pure drinking water and treatment. Okay, and they are living in an unhygienic environment. Okay, so for that you have to go for proposing a awareness program for drinking secure water security and safe sanitation. Okay, it's very important, necessary for any government. Okay, so we have discussed different issues and how to solve the issue. We also discussed. In coming classes, we're going to discuss about some technology which can be used for uh, water treatment or water supply, even for sanitation. Okay, that means wastewater treatment, or you can say waste disposal, uh, economical way of doing that. We are going to discuss in the next coming classes. Okay, so this is all about today class. Uh, is there any doubt till now? I'm closing my sharing here. Any doubt? अगर doubt नहीं है तो I'll just take your attendance then. Okay, before that I'll stop my recording here. Okay, I'm stopping my recording. After that, I will take your attendance.